This is the ridiculous one, Jay Smoker, and you're listening to the No Name RC podcast. Ridiculous! Woo!
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed, Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the 13th episode of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your main man, Keenan White, a.k.a. Lefty the Great, and we're almost at episode 15. I think that's some sort of milestone, 15 episodes. That's 14 more than Joseph gave me credit for. So you know what, Joseph, you can go beep yourself because we're on 15 and soon we'll be on 20. I don't know, maybe we should do some sort of celebration for that, but I'm super well chuffed about this. Well chuffed. I'm enjoying these podcasts. I'm enjoying the support that we get from people that enjoy these podcasts. I've been getting messages and excuse me, your support is greatly appreciated, people. We do listen. We're trying to make things better. I think you'll see in this podcast that we're going to add some things that's going to just make it a little bit better for everybody. I think I enjoy it. I'm excited about this week's podcast. That's why we didn't release it on Monday, because I was waiting for some cool things to come in, and I got them, and I'm busy at work putting this together for everybody to release. But thank you, everybody, for your support. Thank you for listening, and it's greatly appreciated. Before I go on any further, I would like to send some condolences out to Matt Hawkinson. He lost his wife recently, and Matt Hawkinson is a RC painter in the business. I don't know him personally, but he's well known throughout the RC community, and it's really good to see the RC community coming together and showing him support and arranging auctions and whatnot to help pay for some of the funeral bills. And man, you have my deepest condolences, and it's good to see the RC community coming together, because at the end of the day, yes, we may banter and argue and fight on Facebook, but we're all one extended family that enjoys RC around the world. So it's good to see that happening, and you truly have my condolences, but very sorry to hear. So with that said, we had the Reedy Race this past weekend. And Savage Tebo won, and he definitely he kicked some ass, and we decided to have him on to talk about it. And he decided to come on, and Joseph and I'll call up Joseph and then call him, and then we'll talk to him. So it should be good, and get his feelings, get his thoughts on his win. I know this is a really big win for him, and then he had the win before at SIC. See where his mind's at before he gets to DNC, which is happening soon. So we also decided to talk to Joey. We did 2 small segments with 2 different guests this week, and talk to Joey and see how preparations are going for the Daytona 500 of RC. Why I say that the Daytona 500 of RC? Because it's probably the biggest race in RC, or one of the most known and most renowned race in RC, and it happens at the beginning of the racing season. So it should be good. We bring him on. We talk about the new location, what's going to be different this year, about the drivers that are coming, because there is going to be a big international presence this year. It's going to be like a little mini world. It's going to be awesome. You know, we got a few guys from Bermuda coming, even one guy who likes to talk on a mic and talk about RC all the time, but doesn't race anymore. But he's going to be busy anyway. And yeah, should be good. I've been getting some flack from my guys in Bermuda. As you guys know, I'm originally from Bermuda. So I haven't really given them any shout outs. So I like to say shout out to the BNRA and all my Bermuda crew. It was good to hang out with you guys at PNB last year. It's been a long time since I've been back to Bermuda. I'll get back there shortly. But I remember when we started that track 20 years ago with just cones and a few guys with Offner ready to runs and just going around cones, and it's still a track to this day. Probably one of the roughest tracks you'd ever race on in your life, but guys are racing. For a country that's only 22 miles long and 4 miles wide with a population of 60,000, we have an RC track. That's awesome. So shout out to Salty Joe, Quincy, Irvin, Timer, Dejan, all those guys, Keyman, Aaron, all of you. I'm glad to see you guys still racing, and that's awesome. And then, of course, I'd like to shout out to my JQ Racing crew from around the world. The JQ Racing family. We can't do it without you guys, man. Thank you. You are like my extended family. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. Brent Densford, Beach RC, JQ Racing USA. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Brent, for coming on with AssaultRC.com and sponsoring the Invisible Speed segment. So that's the segment with Joseph and Jeff where they talk about setup. Also, thank you to Jerome Chambon, Donuts RC, our JQ Racing Europe distributor. We got to get him on here to talk about RC in Europe. He's well knowledgeable about that stuff. As well as to Andrew Rennick from Model 2 in UK. He's dealing with all our United Kingdom customers over there. We're starting to grow over there. We got a few new racers. That's awesome. Probably going to get Bradley Baird over there to do some UK nationals. And, you know, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome, awesome, awesome. Shout out to FastRaceShop.com. Our 10-question, 10-second segment. It's becoming really popular. I think I'll do Joseph this weekend and get him on and see what he has to say in 10 questions, as he put me on the spot a few weeks ago. But I think it's a very fun segment. Very fun. We did our first giveaway this week. We gave away the JQ Racing USA body. And it goes to a guy in New Zealand. He's one of our patrons. So now we got to ship that to him. And remember, we have that skateboard deck from Clint Treadway at 454 Designs that we're going to give away. But I think we're going to do that when we get 2,000 likes on Facebook. So we need 750 likes right now. So, hey, share our Facebook group page. Get your friends to share it, and let's build it up and get 2,000 likes. And then we'll do a giveaway for that awesome skateboard deck with the No Name RC Podcast logo on it. But I do have some giveaways coming up from my buddy Josh Bayham. He's made some awesome 3D printed No Name RC Podcast car stands in multiple colors. And we're going to give those away to our patrons. And maybe we'll do a few giveaways to our Facebook listeners as well. So that'll be coming up over the next few weeks. Check out Josh Bayham. I'll put up his details on the Facebook page for his 3D printing. He does a lot of 3D printing. A lot of bits and bobs and widgets and fidgets and bits and pieces for your RC cars, washers, anything you need 3D printed, he will do it. So, DNC coming up. We do have one big race on the European side that's coming up here soon. About the weekend after we post this podcast. It's the Montpellier Race. I know many people may not even know about this race, but it's in France. It's a really awesome track. Last year was probably a race between Gongaro, Battier, Ronafalk, and Boots that was so great. I don't know if they're all going to that race this weekend, but I think they will be because it is a popular race and it's cold and it's got a tree. Like it's got concrete. It's like really a European type of track. So I'll be tuned in and watching that. It should be live streamed somewhere. If you guys want to check a link, I'll post it up on my personal Facebook once I find out. And I'll post it up in the No Name RC podcast. And that's like a warm-up for DNC for those guys. So it should be good. I'll be tuned into that because I watch that race every weekend. But enough of me rambling on and going on. Let's get into this podcast. So let's start with our AssaultRC.com Invisible Speed segment. Thank you all. Enjoy the podcast.
You are now locked in to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. Check out AssaultRC.com for the latest products for all your performance RC needs. Featuring the best lubes and specialty tools on the market. Use promo code LEFTY19 at checkout for 10% off your entire order at AssaultRC.com.
We have Joseph JQ Quagrain, and Jeffrey the Jeff Keaton here for the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. What's up, Jeff? How are you?
Man, I'm doing fan-freaking-tastic.
And Joseph, I've already been talking, so I'm not going to ask you about you. I know you're always fine or okay. So,
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, in this segment, Jeff is going to ask Joseph a setup question and try to stump him. Because, Joseph says he knows everything about setup, so we're trying to, catch him out and also learn something at the same time. So, Jeff, have you got your question ready for Captain AMSOIL today?
I certainly do, and this is going to be a good stumpery question because he can't explain it. This question is something that he talks about, and I've listened to videos and heard his podcasts and his Facebook Lives and all that other bullshit, and he talks about it, but he never really explains it. He just kind of beats around the bush and makes a bunch of, like, little innuendos here and there and makes everybody think that it's actually something, but it's just a bunch of bullshit. And I'm going to prove it in this segment.
All righty. Are you ready for the challenge, Joseph?
I'm ready. This sounds like a good one.
All right, let's go, Jeff. What is it?
Okay, so Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Setup, Mr. God's gift of RC, I want to know in detail and no bullshit. I want to understand what the hell you talk about when you say JQ cars have invisible speed. Like, what is invisible speed? Because I've been running the car for, like over a month now. I've done a lot of races. Dude, I ain't any fast. I haven't found no invisible speed. What is invisible speed?
Okay. So the term invisible speed is one I coined in my blog, I believe. And basically, invisible speed is the lowered lap times due to a change you make to the car. And while it doesn't feel any different. So you're not adding steering. You can't tell that it's accelerating faster or doing anything different. It's just faster. So it's mainly invisible speed is corner speed, slight improvement in corner speed, and a faster acceleration. So more traction when you accelerate. So when you drive, you don't feel a difference because it's a very, very slight difference. If you take a track and let's say there's how many corners on a track normally?
Like 15, 20.
Okay, let's say 15 corners on a track. And every time you accelerate out of the corner, the car accelerates just a fraction faster. That builds up. I'm not even talking about a tenth of a second, like 100th of a second here and there. Those accelerations and also the speed that's maintained through the corner, that builds up during a lap, and it can make a noticeable difference. But as a driver, you don't feel that difference. So that's what I mean by when I say invisible speed.
Okay, so by that definition right there, every car on the planet has invisible speed.
Yes.
So
you can make any car, you can make a change to any car and not notice a difference in handling, but you go faster.
Okay. Because, see, I was under the impression that the JQ car was the only car that was capable of invisible speed.
No, it's not the only car. This is the sort of fake news that a shit fountain would typically spread. That the JQ car is the only car with invisible speed. You
Okay.
need to listen to the actual, facts and
I
stick to them.
This is why I'm confronting you directly so that I can, instead of listening to your bullshit and your rhetoric and your hypothesis on what the hell shit's going on, I can ask you directly now. This is why I came to JQ Racing, so that I could go to the horse's mouth himself and say, you're full of shit. Because you're still full of shit.
Really, but now you understand that this is actually a real, true concept.
No, because I still haven't experienced it. I'm still slow as fuck.
Okay, well, you're gonna experience it during this year. You'll definitely experience it.
Although I will say this, I will give a little bit of credit here. So the one thing I have noticed recently is through all my wrecks, when I'm wrecking now, because I still wreck a lot, right? I'm able to recover from the wrecks better. So I don't have to get corner marshaled as much. I still wreck a lot, but I don't have to be corner marshaled as much because for whatever reason, the car is flipping back on its wheels.
Well, that's
so
good.
I don't know if that's a design thing that you've done that, you know, like us low level drivers who wreck a lot, we tend to, you design the car to where it wrecks and wrecks and wrecks and then it still lands on its wheels. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to design that. But to go back to invisible speed, that's mainly something that the car designer deals with. So as a racer, maybe you'll make a setup change and you won't feel a difference, but you go faster. Okay, well, that's when you're dealing with invisible speed. You just made the car faster, but it feels no different. But that's not really what drivers tend to do. You know what you want the car to do differently. You know that I need more steering, or the rear end is breaking loose, so I can't go through this corner smoothly. So you have an issue that you want to solve. But for the car designer, it's different. So a car designer looks at the car and thinks, now it's working perfectly. The handling is balanced. I have enough steering. Everything's great. How do I make it even faster? So the invisible speed thing is really something that the designer needs to tackle. Like, how do we give the car more forward traction? How do we make it maintain more corner speed so that the driver feels the exact same thing, but the lap times are faster? So
Joseph,
that's the best way I can explain.
Is that similar to like your mysterious KPI angle that everybody wants to find out about?
Well, we can talk about the KPI angle at some point.
No,
it's
but
just one.
I mean, is that like what you would equate to like invisible speed?
No, because that makes a noticeable difference to the handling.
Yeah, Jeff, he has this mystery KPI angle that he says Torrance de Guzman wants to find out from HB, and he's not telling anybody.
Yeah, that was just to mess with him because I think we were at the track and he asked how many degrees, and I wouldn't tell him, and it pissed him off. I mean, not really. It kind of annoyed him a bit, and we were just joking about it.
The zero KPI ones that I put on was a world of difference. Like that really worked.
Mm-hmm. We could talk about that. Let's take that in another setup segment one time.
We will.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, we're doing
since you've tried it also. So
yeah, we're doing one subject per segment. So Jeff, has he answered your question sufficiently, or do you have any more questions about the visible speed?
Well, just to sum it up, so because I'm still an idiot, I'm still a shit fountain. We all understand this, but I'm still so invisible speed is just corner speed. Is that a
yes?
fair...
And also forward bite. So when you accelerate, you have two cars, and one accelerates faster than the other.
Okay.
You have same tires. Let's say same tires, same diff oils.
Right.
And just one of them accelerates faster than the other.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that does explain what he's talking about with the invisible speed. I will give him that, and we'll wrap it up with all cars have invisible speed to some degree if you know how to set your car up right to obtain it. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. And but all cars are unfortunately not equal in this department. Some cars are very easy and stable and comfortable to drive, but they're a bit slow. So you have to really, muscle them around the track to go fast. Other cars, you can just kind of cruise around and they'll be fast.
Okay, well, let's rank the cars from the most potential invisible speed to the least amount of invisible speed, in your opinion.
Great question.
Where do they rank?
Good question.
Okay, that's something. I mean,
come on, you don't be a bitch. You don't have an issue talking shit.
Okay,
let's rank the cars.
I'll give you an example. The Kyosho MP9 is one that lacks invisible speed. Okay? Because it's very comfortable to drive around the track. But if you are driving it well within your comfort zone and the car is handling everything great, you'll be slow. I mean, I'm talking slow now at the world's highest level, kind of slow.
Okay.
Like if Elliott Boots just drove around the track, then he wouldn't be, fighting for wins in the races. He really needs to kind of push it to be fast. But then if you take, the JQ car, for example, if you gave that car to Cavalieri, he could drive around the track without really pushing, just kind of being precise and nice and tidy lines, and he would be fast. Does that make sense? Because the car designs are different in that aspect.
Yeah, if the owner of JQ Racing would have got off his ass, he could have seen Cav do that too.
Yeah, he could have.
But, we all know who the real shit fountain is around here.
Wow.
So what about like a Mugen car or AE car, Joseph? What category would you put that in?
I haven't driven them for so long, so I don't really know.
Okay. Fair enough.
From observing, I would say that they're somewhere in the middle, like closer to what the JQ is than what the Kyosho is.
Okay, well let's break it down this way. Do you think a C-Hub car has the better potential for invisible speed or a pillow ball car?
I would say that a C-Hub car would have a better potential for that. Just for the simple reason that, at least based on my experience, the pillow ball cars need to be driven more on power to get the most of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that is the one thing that I have struggled with as a driver, going from a pillow ball car that I ran forever to a C-Hub car, is I find myself overdriving the JQ car.
Yeah.
Where like with my associated car, I was always on power, in and out of corners, and here it's your braking points with a C-Hub car is way more crucial than it was with my pillow ball car.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like anytime you have to drive a car on power, I think it's it feels like harder and more aggressive. Like you have to be a better driver to be able to do that, I feel. If you can drive off power and be fast, the pace seems a bit slower. Like you can process everything easier as a driver.
I agree with that. I would agree with that statement. Look at that. We agree on something.
Oh my, it's the hell is frozen over.
I know, shit.
But thanks, Jeff, because I know that subject has been bothering you for well over a year. So we got
It has.
Yeah, we got
and
that.
I can't wait to experience it myself. Like I can't wait to see the day when I can say, "Yo, I had invisible speed."
Okay, that's going to be the goal for 2019.
It is.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, Jeff, for coming on, and thank you, Joseph. This is the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment.
Hey guys, Jared Tebo here, and you're listening to the No Name RC Podcast.
So we have 2019 Reedy Race champion Jared Tebo on the line. What's up, Jared? How are you?
Oh man, I'm doing awesome. Yeah, doing great. Back at home in the freezing cold weather right now. But, super happy.
And we got a Reedy Race International Race Analysis Joseph Quagrain on board to talk to Tebo about his win as well.
What's up?
Yeah.
I'm ready. Bring it on. Good job, Jared.
Yeah.
Thanks.
First, I'd like to say congratulations on winning the 2019 Reedy Race. It's probably one of the hardest races in the world to win, and you finally done it, man. So congratulations.
Yeah, after winning, I would say it is definitely, I don't know, probably my hardest win, like most stressful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, each kind of day as you are still in it, and each race, and it's just the stress is unreal. So
yeah. Well, we're gonna touch on that, but the weekend before, you was in Alabama at probably the first big 8-scale race which was the SIC, Southern Indoor Championships, put on by Racetime Entertainment. And you won Nitro Buggy on that. So let's just touch on that a little bit, because the track kind of got how you liked it. It got blown out. It got lots of big holes. You and Cole Ogden had a really good battle for a long time in the main, and then he made a mistake, and then you just ran away with it. So how was it? I would say it's a big race. It wasn't that many top-level guys there, but it was 3 good guys there. You had Lutz, you, Cole, and a couple of fast East Coast guys. How did you like your first outing on a really rough track on your new Techno?
Yeah. I mean, that was, my official Techno debut, and I thought it went great. I have, quite a lot of time on my Nitro Buggy. The Nitro Truggy, I don't really have, any time at all up until practice for that race. Nitro Buggy was going awesome all through practice, was really focused on it. The track was changing a lot. I would say the track was really, really similar to the Silver State in 2018, where when we first got there, it was wet. The track was steamrolled, but it had that kind of sandy feeling. Mm-hmm. And that was my first time there. So I was asking everyone, like, hey, does it blow out? Does it kind of pack in? And no one really had any good answers, for me. So I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. And the track changed a lot. It dried out some and on the practice day, and when it dried out, it got more traction, but then some holes started to develop and things, and then they watered it a bunch for qualifying, and then it rained all day and was super humid. So the track was like really wet for most of qualifying, and the traction went way down, but the bumps were still kind of developing, because I think they watered it so much it kind of softened back up. Mm-hmm. So then some of the holes dug out more, and then qualifying went great. Buggy, me and Cole were really fast. I TQ'd the first round, and the second round I was running really good, and just kind of got caught up in some crashes with some traffic and things like that, and then the last round, me and Cole were fighting for the TQ, and I crashed like at the end of the first lap, starting our second lap, and he passed me on the track, and I lost a lot of time. I crashed in a really bad spot. Just coming onto the straightaway, there was those really big holes, and the fast line was to go around the outside of them, and I just didn't quite go wide enough, and my inside tire caught the hole, and I flipped like starting the straightaway, and put my head down and ran some really, really fast lap times, and caught Cole at the very end, and he got slowed up by some traffic, and I got by and put a really fast last lap in to just barely get the TQ. So that was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And then, the track on Sunday, it dried out because they were really afraid to water it because the temperatures were really, really low. So I think they were worried the track would freeze or something. So it was really dry for the mains, and the track kind of caught everyone off guard, I think. It was really high grip, but then really loose with the dust. So it was almost identical to the Silver State, where mm-hmm. where it was clean, it was really, really grippy. Your car could traction roll. It was really twitchy, but then on the sections that, had some dust, it was kind of like, loose gravel on concrete or something, where it was really, really sketchy. So yeah, the main was wild. We would just kind of accordion effect. You could, have a bobble, and it seemed like anytime you crashed, where the turn marshals were all placed, they were doing an awesome job, but it just took a long time to get mm-hmm. the car. It seemed like everywhere you would crash. So, you could lose 10 seconds in a crash pretty easily, and traffic was crazy. We were going fast, and we were, in a lot of traffic, and I pulled the lead, then I would lose it, and I crashed. I had a pretty good lead at the start and had a really bad crash coming into pit lane, and actually fell off the pit lane wall onto the straightaway. And Billy Tylaska, Ryan Lutz's new pit guy and team manager, actually ran out there and got my car and put it back up on the pit lane wall. So that was awesome. Mm-hmm. That could have been a big mess. And then, me and Ogden just duked it out at the end, and Yeah, it was awesome. First win for me with Techno, and first win on the buggy, and it was great.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Now, just a quick question about Truggy, because I remember you was openly critical about the old Kyosho Truggy, and now jumping onto the Techno Truggy, which many consider one of the best Truggies out there. Does it is it just a lack of time? Do you think I know I don't know if you practice much with Truggy. I don't know how much do you guys practice with Truggy, or even if you do. But I'm guessing by DNC you'll be comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'll be good by DNC. So I didn't run the Truggy at all. I kind of just thought, I would really just like their setup and it would work really well for me. I've kind of done everything on my own for so long that I'm not really in touch with some other people's setups. So when we did the buggy testing, a lot of it was just me and the two designers. And so, I kind of went, the direction, we kind of went the direction that, I was comfortable with and everything, got the buggy working really, really well. Well, then the Truggy, the front end is just the way that Joe and Ryan ran it was just not comfortable for me at all. Mm-hmm. So the start of qualifying, I really wasn't comfortable. And even in practice, I wasn't that comfortable, but I thought, maybe it was a track or, something like that.
What was it doing that you didn't like?
They run their arms really flat, and I like to run a lot of kick up. So when I would go into the corner, the front end wouldn't dive down. And then they run their inside camber link like as high as it will go. So they get it to roll kind of with the camber link instead of, the weight kind of moving forward and back. And so I just didn't like that, where when I went to the corner, the front wouldn't go down, and the camber link to me doesn't feel very aggressive that way. So I kind of like my truck to dive in, and then the camber position to be more stiffer, and it kind of is more aggressive on the front tires. So I changed that for the last round of qualifying, and I was quite a bit faster. In the main, I actually got a super good start. Let's crash on the first lap, and 10 minutes into the main, I had an 18-second lead and was, surely thought I was going to win. And then it was like a switch just kind of flipped in the truck, and it was just losing a lot of traction and was driving really weird. And what happened was just a total error on my side when I built the truck and, kind of broke all the transmission in on the street and everything. I was driving pretty aggressive with it to try to break everything in, and I never changed my diff oils, so my diff oils were just totally cooked. And I think my diffs were too light anyways, so they were what Joe and Ryan ran there previous, but I think I run heavier diff oils than most people. So kind of my driving style, you think it's really smooth, and it is really smooth, but I brake really early, and then I get onto the throttle really early, and I load the side of my car a lot, in the middle of the corner, and I think I just kind of heat diffs up, pretty bad. So that's pretty much what happened in the Truggy main. After the main, I kind of thought a diff was broken, so I took them apart, and the oil was just completely cooked in them. So that was just an error on my side.
Yeah, I think that if I remember correctly, the inner gears in a diff are relatively smaller compared to, for example, Kyosho. So maybe you have to run thicker oils in them on the Techno, I mean.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would have ran thicker diff oils, but I think also the oil was already bad at the start of the race, just because it had all the the little shavings and everything from the gears all breaking in and stuff like that. So
yeah. What about the buggy?
What about the buggy?
Yeah, how did that compare to your Kyosho buggy that you've been running for so long? But finish your previous thoughts. I cut you off there.
Oh, just talking about the diff, I think. Yeah, that was just I was more focused on the buggy that weekend, so I think I just neglected my truggy performance a little bit because I really wanted to win buggy. So, it would have been nice to win both. I think I could have. I just screwed up. As far as the nitro buggy, it's amazing, actually. Obviously their Worlds performance wasn't that good. The first thing we really talked about when they contacted me after the Worlds was, they were asking if I was worried about that, if I had any concerns. And, I told them I wasn't. I understand a new car and going to a world championship. And, that's always challenging. And, the first time I drove it, I was pleasantly surprised. I think the car is really, really good. It's a really innovative design. It drives way different than my Kyosho car. A big complaint I had with my Kyosho car was just the actual drive of the car. It doesn't have that squirt where when you come out of a corner, it just, I can run 20,000 center diff oil and it still just doesn't go. And right away it was just, it has that torque, it has that squirt out of the corners. Front end feels completely different. Kyosho cars kind of twitchy off center and then kind of pushes on exit because the rear end has so much traction. But when you try to take the traction away, it just gets too hard to drive, on corner entry. This car, I can use a lot more wheel input on corner entry, and then we can dial the traction out because it's pretty consistent turning in. So then you can slide more on exit to have more exit steering. And I think people are going to be really surprised by the buggy. It drives awesome.
You are running the new one now?
Yes. Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't driven the 0.4, so.
Do you know when it's supposed to be released?
I don't know. It's still going to be a little while.
Mm-hmm. What you got to see Lutz? Well, I guess you was racing with him, but what did you think of Lutz with his new Agama?
I didn't really get to watch him that much. We were kind of always in the same race. But we're good friends. We talk quite a bit. I think he's in a good place. He's happy. Seems like he likes the cars. I think, there's going to be a little bit of learning curve there, just like there is for me. But he was fast. He was right there. He had a problem in the nitro buggy main, and he was actually right there. All three of us were battling for the lead, and he ran out of gas, which was a bummer. But I think he'll do just fine.
Sweet. Well, I enjoyed watching the race, even though I wasn't there. So I'm happy for you, man. You got your first win, and now let's talk about this big win. The win. Reedy champion.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
Reedy champion. All right, I guess I want to know. You and Bornhorst done really well in 4-wheel drive, and I can't remember exactly where you was. Where was he, Joseph? You would know this. You're the nerd
He
for all
was
this.
second.
So he was second. So you had the two.
Well, I was second after day one, but I was actually tied for the lead when 4-wheel ended.
Okay. So there you are.
So there was a 4-way tie when 4-wheel ended, and I was in that tie for the lead.
Okay. So there you have the two techno guys in first, tied for first, and you're going into 2-wheel drive. When did you say, man, I can win this? When did it kind of hit you?
I was going into the event really confident. I've been pretty frustrated with my 10 scale performance for the last, 2 years. Probably a little bit longer than that. It's been pretty challenging. And, I had a lot of time on my 4-wheel. The Reedy race was really, really, really high priority for me. So I drove my 4-wheel a lot. I was super confident with the setup. with how the car was driving. The two-wheel drive, I wasn't necessarily confident on my setup, but I was confident with like the equipment I had. I just didn't have that much time on the car, so I didn't really have like a base setup that I made myself, or I didn't have any setup changes that I knew I could make if the track changed or whatever. So going into two-wheel, I was committed to just do whatever Dustin did. Whatever he changed, I would change. Whatever setup he had on his car, that's what I was going to have on my car. And, the practice went great. I felt really fast. The Reedy Race is always weird because you start on new tires and the track's kind of fresh. And, lap times are kind of hard to base on practice because the track's just not really there. So, I was fast. I was feeling really confident in practice. And then, for four-wheel, I had really, really bad starts and just really tough kind of races and like weird things happened. So when four-wheel ended and I was in a tie for the lead, I was really confident because my two-wheel starting positions were way better than what I had in four-wheel.
So you did your two races. Joseph probably carry on because he was geeking out over this on Facebook with like play-by-play photos that he must have been through and watched.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah.
There were so many funny races at that race.
It was a good bit of drama there too. So it was funny.
Yeah, first, before I go into my questions, you mentioned you would just copy what Dustin Evans did. Why did you decide to do that, or why Dustin?
Me and Dustin have known each other for a long time. I know his driving style pretty well. He's a good friend of mine. I figured he would be super honest with me. He would, genuinely help me. And I figured he would be the best guy that would suit, his car would suit my driving style. I think me and Rivkin don't necessarily drive similar. I think him and Mayfield would probably run similar type setups. So that's kind of what I was basing that off of.
Yeah. Okay, so, going into the race, I didn't pick you for the win. That was a surprise. But I did pick you to have your best Reedy race in a long time. Like, I thought you would be one of the guys because I knew that the Kyosho cars weren't really competitive. And you always struggled with them at this race. So now that you had two good cars, I thought you'd be kind of in the mix. So going into the last day, obviously you were, tied for the lead, you said, or close to it.
Well, starting the last day, I actually had like a 3-point lead, but that was
that was after the first two-wheel drive runs. So you were in the lead slightly, and I checked your starting positions were pretty good for the last day. And also Mayfield had some bad ones where you started ahead of him. So I figured going into the last day, that, this is basically Jared's race to lose. He just needs to, have his, normal races, no big mistakes, and he'll win. What did you think going into the last day?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Once two-wheel started, I had good starts. I just knew that I needed to just kind of manage the races and not give up positions. That's what's super important with the Reedy race. And in four-wheel, I had a couple races where I gave up some points. And, I was really bummed with a couple of them. And so, you're always kind of thinking about that. Like, man, I have a 3-point lead, but, really I could have had a 6-point lead if I would have done that, or this wouldn't have happened. And
yeah, that's always something I find at Reedy. Were there some races or some points that bothered you throughout the race? Like, man, why did I lose those points?
Oh, yeah, there was. That four-wheel race that Ronald Falk and CJ got into, I was in third right behind those guys. They tangled after the triple. CJ cut the whole track and hit me and crashed me while he was cutting the track. And then Ronald Falk kept going, and then the whole place was booing him. So then he decided to pull over and let CJ go. but then, you know, that put me in third when I really should have been in first. And then, like, yeah, that was just a really crazy race. And then one of them, I was trying to catch Ronald Falk for the lead, and I was pushing really hard. And I ended up crashing 2 times at the very end, just kind of over driving. And I dropped from second to third. And it was like, man, I really should have just accepted the second and just taken that. You know, so there was 3 points in 4-wheel that I really felt like I gave up. That I was pretty bummed about.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, 2-wheel started, and I think I started third in my first race and started first in my second race, and I won both of those. And then
so then going into the last day was good.
Yeah, so then now it's kind of like, all right, you know, my 2-wheel's good, I'm driving good. This is mine to lose for sure.
Awesome.
Okay, because the way the time difference.
So
yeah, the way the time difference works here is I woke up in the morning and I knew the Reedy Race was done, and I knew all the videos would be on Red RC. So I just went on Red RC's YouTube channel. So I didn't know who won, and I started watching the races. Yeah. And then your first race, just complete blowout, in my opinion. I mean, I was like, come on, is this really going to happen? And the thing for me was like, at this point, I'm 100% rooting for you. Because the other guy that's going to win is Mayfield. So I'm like, okay, who do I want to win more? Jared or Ryan? Well, obviously at this point in history, it's you. You know? Yeah. So there was like a lot riding on this now. We're thinking like Perth, Worlds, everything that's happened, karma, you know, Jared's going to win this. And then I watch you just crash your brains out in that first race. So what was going through your mind as that happened?
I wouldn't necessarily say crash my brains out. It was, so the tire game at Reedy is always super, super key. And we were all kind of getting on low tires, but low tires were better. And I was starting up front and Mayfield starting in the back. And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to like save my low tires and run a newer set. So I ran a newer set, and I wasn't really comfortable with the tires. Like my rear end was just a little bit loose, and you know, I was leading the whole race, and you know, that kid Christopher Sturdy, he was driving like unreal good that heat, and he just stayed right there. And even when Mayfield got into third, I mean, he didn't really catch us at all, and we were all going really fast. And you know, I was just, you know, that was a key race for me to win. And, you know, when it was coming down to the end, I wasn't really driving any, you know, more nervous or wasn't, you know, I was just managing the race. I didn't want to push too hard and crash. And I knew I couldn't get past if I just stayed steady. So I was trying to drive, you know, within the lap range that I felt like I would be the most consistent at. And I made just a couple bobbles on that double at the bottom of the step down. My car was really loose, so I kept kind of jumping wide on that first double, and that's where I kind of gave up that time, those last couple laps. And yeah, with 2 laps to go, I was just I jumped a little bit long onto the tabletop, and then I got wheel spin before the triple, and I kind of thought like, oh, I should double single, but I thought if I just, you know, squeezed it more, I would still be able to make it. And it just spun the tires a little bit, and I cased it and flipped over. You know, and I mean, my heart like fell out of my chest. I just couldn't believe that I did that. And then, you know, Mayfield crashed too. So then I was right on Sturdy, and I'm like, all right, I need to be really close to him entering that triple so that he'll mess up. And I kind of set up, you know, well, I jumped kind of wide on that double again. And when I got on the gas, it just spun out some, and I hit the pipe. And, you know, yeah, I lost 2 positions. I just, yeah, that was really, really tough to handle. I was pretty much sick to my stomach the whole rest of the day. Couldn't eat any food and was just beating myself up pretty bad. But that's part of the Reedy race. That's what makes it so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how did you gather yourself for the next races? Because you actually won the race in the next 2 races that you won, and I think they were actually harder than this one, where you finished third.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So how did you do that?
They both were. I mean, I didn't want that to happen in the first race. Obviously, I was super upset. I knew that this was my Reedy race to win. This was the opportunity that I had, the best opportunity I've had in a really long time. And, I was able to just, calm down. And I think the next race was the one where I started like 7th, I think, and Ty started 1st. And I knew my car was going to be good. I put my really low tires back on, and I got a super good start, got into 2nd, and was just driving as hard as I could to catch Ty. Was slowly catching him. And then, he ended up crashing at the end of the straightaway, and I took the lead and won that race. And that was just awesome. That was a big confidence boost for me going to the next one. And the next one was tough too. I started up front, and Spencer started mid-pack or something, and he got a great start and got into 2nd pretty early. And same type of thing. I was just trying to manage the race, not make any mistakes, and he got really close to me, but I was able to keep my composure and get that win.
Awesome.
I think you should thank me actually for that.
Oh God.
For the win, because that race where Ty was leading and you were 2nd. I was watching, and I was like talking to the laptop. I'm like, okay, Ty, I'm gonna need you to blow off the track right here. I'm gonna need you to crash or something, because Jared needs to win this one.
So you were praying?
Yeah, exactly. I was praying to the RC gods. So then what made it so much better was that when he crashed, the marshal got hit in the nuts.
I actually didn't know that even happened. I saw that on Monday on Facebook.
Yeah, it was so funny. I'm like, I couldn't have asked for something like a better situation. Like, I was just, hoping for a bubble or something. And Ty just launches into the wall. Marshall goes to get it. Tanner then it hits him in the nuts. I'm like, wow, this is perfect. And
that was pretty chaotic. Yeah.
So
I mean, the track, it was, the Reedy race is always crazy because you're racing people you're not used to racing with. But then this one was a little extra crazy because the track was really easy. And so you couldn't pass really at all unless someone made a mistake. And everyone's lap times were so close because the track was pretty darn easy that if you wanted to go faster, you had to drive pretty far over the edge. So it was really tough. And I think, that's kind of what pushed people into mistakes and weird things happening, and crazy race winners and unexpected races was just the track was easy, and you had to really drive over the limit if you were wanting to go faster than the other guys.
Interesting. So tell us, how do you feel about Cav pulling over for Mayfield?
I mean, obviously I wasn't rooting for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that to happen. I can't say I blame him for doing it, but I've never really seen Cav do that. And he was still in like podium contention. So, that was interesting to me.
Interesting. Joseph, what was your comment about that? I forget.
I didn't do a breakdown of that, but I just wrote that, and I haven't even touched on the Team Yokomo sudden loss of power and steering incidents. Because I didn't see Lee Martin do it, but I heard he did. So someone that was at the race was saying that how Lee went easy on round 2, but I saw when Cavalieri did it. I was quite surprised.
Lee pulled over for Mayfield, at least one that I saw, but it wasn't like crazy blatant like that. It was
this was pretty bad
at the beginning of the race, and they were like mid-pack, and they were racing kind of close, You know, I mean, I had guys give me extra space. You know, that stuff kind of happens towards the end of the event when there's people that are fighting for the win. You know, other guys will just not necessarily like completely pull over, but if they mess up a little, instead of like racing you and like tangling, you know, they'll give you some extra space. You know, that definitely happened to me as well. The Cavalier thing was, you know, that was something different, but you know, he wanted his teammate to win, so I can't really say anything, but it caught me by surprise. I've never seen him do that before.
Yeah, for those people listening who haven't seen it, basically Mayfield, it was the last lap, I think. Mayfield crashes on the triple.
Yeah.
And then Cavalieri jumps the triple, leading. And then Cavalieri jumps the triple and basically could just drive by Mayfield, but he chooses to go the long way round the marshal, and then heading into the next corner, he's still leading. Mayfield has been marshaled at this point. And then he goes wide again, and Mayfield just goes down the inside of him and then retakes the lead and wins. So it was, for someone who's never watched RC, they would maybe not know, but then for us who, you know how good Cavalieri is, we know that he didn't just make that mistake. He clearly left Mayfield by.
Yeah.
So.
Team orders have come to RC, like F1.
Yep.
So that's cool. So, sorry, go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, team orders.
So after you won this, man, what was your reaction? Like, how did you, I guess a big, like, weight was taken off your chest, a sigh of relief, you know, happiness. What did you do?
Yeah, I mean, right when I crossed the finish line, I was pretty emotional, you know. I just couldn't believe it. It's like I've dreamed of winning this race. I've, you know, come really close, and, you know, I've had a lot of ups and downs lately, and, you know, questioned myself, you know, wanted to quit racing. A lot of people, you know, thought that I'm done and, you know, I'm not a good driver anymore, and, you know, like all my good results are behind me, and so it was just a whole big bag of emotions hit me, just excitement, you know, super proud, just you know, Danny at Techno, he gave me a great opportunity, and I think for me it was just someone showing that they believe in me still. Mm-hmm. You know, my relationship at Kyosho was still, you know, fairly good, and, you know, we had a great time together, but just that, like, that appreciation just wasn't really there, where, you know, they didn't really care what I thought. You know, they didn't want to know my setups. They didn't want to know, you know, what I was doing to my cars, what I thought about my cars. You know, there just wasn't really like any communication at all. So I didn't really feel like wanted and appreciated. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I didn't think the Techno thing was going to happen. I had talked to them back in January, and they were interested, but they weren't really sure. And then after the Worlds, you know, they called me, and Danny just showed that he truly believed in me, and, you know, he took a risk and a gamble on me. And, you know, I was just so happy that I could give him and Techno that big win. And, you know, there was not very many people that were thinking that was going to happen. And another thing that was just crazy was throughout that whole week, so many people were so excited to see me doing well. You know, I know I have a pretty good fan base, but sometimes, you know, you feel like you let people down, and sometimes you just feel like, you know, you don't, you know, you're just not doing that good. You question everything, and man, everybody there was just so excited to see me doing well. And so many people that I wouldn't even expect were just like, man, great run, you know, after I would win a race or have a good race. And so that was just really cool. And after I won, I mean, every single driver that was in that race came over and like gave me a hug. And it was just unreal. You know, I kind of felt like Dale Earnhardt or something when he won the Daytona 500, that everyone was just happy for me that I was able to get that title. You know, that was that's the only title in RC that I didn't have. You know, not counting each class, but just like the actual title itself. So that was really special.
Awesome. So my question is to you. Well, I have two questions. The word is out that obviously Techno is coming up with a 2-wheel drive, right? I don't know if that's true.
That's not official.
Okay.
I mean, it's a possibility, but you know,
Yeah.
that's.
I mean, it would only make sense for them to do that. But are you gonna continue to just drive the associated car, or will you be able to run whatever 2-wheel drive you want from here on out?
I'll be driving the B6.1 all of 2019.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. And the second question is, you know, like I think I coined you this. I think I gave it his nickname, Savage Tebo. I kind of want to change it to Tebo Savage, but Joseph doesn't like it. But I enjoy the banter.
Savage Tebo is so much better.
Yeah, I think so. I enjoy the banter that you and him have. It's really fun that you and Joseph have. But I saw you and Runnerfolk going at it, and I had never seen that before, and I thought it was awesome. Where did that start?
Yeah, that was super fun. You know, me and David have been friends for a long time, teammates and everything, and I would say like that friendly banter probably started at the Worlds in Vegas. You know, and it's just a friendly, you know, just friendly banner, you know, there's no harm in it. And yeah, it was funny. I think he posted a video at SDRC, and then someone commented that I looked faster, and then he commented something back, and so we went back and forth, and yeah, he's already starting it back up for DNC, so bring it on. It just
it's gonna be awesome.
Fuels me up. So you know, my nitro buggy is pretty darn good. We'll see how DNC goes. Yeah,
are you excited for DNC? New venue, like it's fresh and new for everybody.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. You know, I feel a lot more confident now with my truggy setup going in. My nitro buggy is working really good. I'll be racing electric buggy for the first time too. So really excited to have some new Macklin electronics. That's a huge part of my program this year was getting new electronics, and man, that stuff was so good. I cannot believe how good the Macklin stuff is. And I was totally blown away when I tested it, and Willie's a great guy. I'm super happy to be a part of that. And so I think for the electric 8 scale, the stuff's going to be awesome too. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
What's your practice schedule like for that? Are you going to do any more 10 scale from now between DNC, or are you gonna go somewhere where you can do some more 8 scale practice, or what's the plan?
Plan right now is finishing building my e-buggy. So we weren't really sure if I was going to be able to have a new car for that race or run a 0.4, but I'll be racing a 0.4 buggy. So I got to finish building that, and then I'll probably go drive up in Omaha at an indoor 8 scale track sometime next week. And
Hobbyplex,
Hobbyplex, and just run both my buggies some. And then me and Joe Bornhorst are flying out the weekend before Nitro Challenge to do some practicing out in California.
Yeah, we'll be out there the weekend before as well. Should be
nice.
Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be a nice 4-day drive across America for me again.
There you go.
But Joseph, you have anything else you would like to ask Savage Tebo?
Actually, I have one last thing about Reedy. Just something I noticed. And you mentioned that towards the end of the race, drivers would not necessarily let you by, but not fight you for the position as much. And it kind of has to do with that, because I saw a lot of incidents where I feel like someone got by, like someone made a nice pass on the inside, for example. And then the guy who was in the lead, who had gone wide, just pulls back in line and they crash.
Oh, yeah. That happened to me in multiple 4-wheel races, for sure.
Yeah, so I feel like the driver who is ahead and is getting past doesn't respect the fact that someone's getting by, and instead of kind of giving the position, they try and defend it when it's past that point, and that causes a crash. So I don't know how to eliminate this problem, but yeah, I see that you agree that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a major thing that happens at the Reedy Race. I think one big part of that is a lot of people are racing people they're not used to racing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, at the normal big races, you know, people kind of have their qualifying spots where they're normally at, and they kind of race the normal people. So, you know, I know how Cav is going to race me. I know how Mayfield's going to race me. Rivkin, Finn, those guys. But some of the other people, I don't necessarily know how they're going to race me because I've never raced that person for like a important position.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And,
Yeah.
you know, so it's really tough. I think Mayfield's really good at that. Like, I had a couple incidences, and when I was thinking back, I needed to be more aggressive because when that opening pops up, you need to really get in there so that when they do come down, it crashes them instead of you. But if you're kind of like tentative to take the position because you don't necessarily know what's going to happen, when you tangle, normally, you know, you would get messed up. Well, actually, then normally both of the cars would crash. You know, so that's just a tough balance of the Reedy Race. It's driving with a lot of aggression and with a lot of patience, and knowing when to have both of those.
And that leads me to the last question I have, which is, then after these sorts of incidents, something I noticed was more than in previous years, the driver who was trying to make the move waited. And I feel like unless there was someone telling them to wait, and in some of them, they just immediately waited, so there was no time for a referee to intervene. I felt it was strange. I saw Cavalieri and Mayfield both wait one time where I feel like they should have just gone, and most likely they wouldn't have got a penalty either. So what was going on with that? I feel like there was more waiting happening than ever before.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of the racing. I only saw that happen maybe a couple times. I think it was with Yuna. He was trying to pass someone, and he kept taking them out. But they kept going wide and blowing the corner every time. It happened like 3 laps in a row, and he would give the spot back. And I was, you know, thinking to myself, like, man, that's ridiculous. Just go. Like, the guy's messed up. And that actually, it was with Joe Bornhorst in 2-wheel. He kept going wide, and Yuna was hitting him there. And you know, I thought Yuna should have just went. You know, Joe's opinion, because we actually talked about it after. He was like, "Oh yeah, he kept hitting me in that corner." It's like, well, I don't know. You kept entering it wide, but I didn't see a lot of unnecessary waiting. I think there was more actual like refereeing up there, but the way the track was, you know, it may have been hard to tell just only by the videos, but. You know, I thought there was some pretty good referee calls. You know, but yeah, it's tough. There's a fine line there because you know you have to accept to get past sometimes, and a lot of people don't do that.
Sweet. You got any more questions, Joseph? You gonna go science mode on him?
No, it's all good.
All right. Well,
all good.
Thank you, Savage Tebo, for coming on and talking about your Reedy Race. You're in a really good place. I look forward to talking to you at DNC. I'm looking forward to DNC, period, with the lineup that's coming from Europe and the lineup that will be there from America. So it's going to be some great racing.
It's going to be stacked. It's going to be a great event, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone's excited. New venue. Like, no one knows what's going to go on, what tires you use, what the dirt's going to be like. So it should be cool.
It's going to be great. Well, good luck. Get your practice in and spend some time with your family. And we'll see you at DNC. And thank you for coming on to the podcast and talking about it.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys. And, appreciate having me on and look forward to seeing you guys soon. Yep. Safe travels.
All right, man. Have a good one. All right, Joseph, thanks for coming on and talking to Tebo with me. I'm going to go talk to Joey about DNC, and I'll call you back after that so we can do the JQ Racing Rant. All right?
Okay, sounds like a plan.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Hey, this is Joey from The Dirt, and you are listening to the No Name RC Podcast.
For our second guest this week on episode 13 of the No Name RC Podcast, we have probably the baddest ass track builder in the world, Joey Christensen, on to talk about the 20th running of the Dirt Nitro Challenge. What's up, Joey? How you doing?
What's up, man? Good to hear from you, Lefty. Glad to be on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on. I know you're really busy. I mean, you're probably swamped. It's 3 weeks out to DNC. Your world must be crazy right now.
Yeah, it's exciting, and it gets kind of like this every year. And even though this is the 20th year, it still feels like the first time. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of, you think about it all night long, and it's definitely got a lot on my plate, but I think we can handle it.
So when do you start going into full track build mode? Like, I'm not even that, because it starts weeks before that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of the design and the logos and the, organizing sponsorships and, of course, securing the new venue and all the details that go into contracts and insurance and all that stuff starts a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And then we can only take over the new venue at a certain date. So we'll be out there next week, starting on Monday is when we start.
Interesting. So this is the fourth location for the race, right?
Yeah, fourth location. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was Hammett. Then it was, where was it after that?
Hammett. Then it moved to the Speed World over in Surprise, Arizona, and then it moved to Fear Farm over in Phoenix, and now it's moved to the Southern California Fairgrounds in Southern California.
So, okay, what made you decide to go to this location now?
A few things came into play. One was we had a great run at Fear Farm with a lot of years there, and we enjoyed that facility and the weather and the proximity to the airport and a lot of reasons that was just a good spot, and there was a lot of great races in Phoenix. But with the trouble they had last year with the buildings not being up to code and having to get permits to rebuild them all, I know the Fear Farm owners weren't willing to do that. Mm-hmm. And so it would be on me, and just the amount of money that it would take to try to build new buildings and all this place for a place that's not mine was not, it's not feasible to do. So I want it to be up to par, and a lot of people count on the place, being a cool place. So we had to move spots. And then when you start searching out new venues, just one thing is the weather, and the other thing is the cost of the venue and where it's at. And we had a few options. We could go to possibly over at Thornhill in Texas, is a great facility and a great group of people there, but it's pretty far. And then there was a place in Scottsdale, but it was rented out for the car auction for all the month of February, March, April. So you could only do it in the summer, which would be too hot in Phoenix. And then I have a friend who works with the people out at the Paris Fairgrounds, and they have a motocross track out there, and it's Southern California. It's right in the right spot. So after meeting with those guys and them being super excited about it, really wanting to have the race there, and just it has it just has all the things that you would want for an RC car track. There's no track there. I have to build it and build all the things, but the location's just perfect. So we did it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Was you looking besides Thornhill, because for the longest while everybody swore this was going to be in Texas? And, what about existing tracks? I mean, not far from this track is the new track that's open, the Wild West track, I think it's called. Yeah. You had Empire up in NorCal, which is under a roof. Yeah. I guess logistically wise, this was the best thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a big race.
Yeah. I mean, having to team up with an existing facility is always hard because, I mean, it's nice to be able to do it on my own. Then I can do it just how I want, and I don't have to worry about, other people that own the facility and what they would like to see happen if it's different than what I would like to see happen. I like having kind of control over how the race goes down. And then, I want it to be easy for everybody to get to. In Southern California, there's a lot of racers here, and it's close to Phoenix, and it's close, it's a good weather. And so that was important to me also. Texas is a great spot. It's just really far over there. And, the the Nitro Challenge crowd has developed into like a really fun atmosphere. People like to camp and they like to stay up late at night and they like to socialize after hours and have all their motorhomes grouped in a certain way and be able to be loud and just be able to have a week off, not only race, but to celebrate hanging out with your friends. And so some places you can't do that. You have to be quiet. You can't have people parking in their motorhomes, camping late at night. And so like Thornhill is one of those places where at a certain hour you have to be quiet and there's neighbors. Yep.
It has a curfew. I mean, I went to my first DNC last year, and it's always been my dream to go to that. And it was like a mini little city setup. I was just amazed at how many motorhomes are there, and people were barbecuing. You had we was way over by the drone area, so those guys were flying drones and stuff, and it was just like all you can eat RC in your face for like 4 or 5 days. I really enjoyed it. It was a bit rough because my buddy's like, hey, it's Arizona, it's the desert, bring long clothes, and it got cold. But hey, man, it's called, like you said, it's called the Dirt Nitro Challenge, not the Dirt Nitro Easy. So I want to know, do you know how many times I got asked daily, oh, what tires should we bring and what should we do about this track? And I'm like, I don't have no idea. I don't know about the dirt. I'm not even going to ask you about that because it's so difficult to tell. To say, but what I want to know is is this track going to be bigger? Are you planning on doing anything different that you haven't done before? Can you just let on a little bit of what you're thinking of doing?
Sure. The area where the track's going to be built is kind of a rodeo area, so it's got it's flat dirt. It's got rodeo railing around it. There's bleachers. There's a timing tower, and they can run flat track kart races on it, which they've been doing for a while. So it's a dirt oval for for kart racing. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to bring in a whole bunch of dirt on the premises. They have this massive pile of dirt where the old Star West motocross track used to be, and then it recently was used for Travis Pastrana to practice his Las Vegas Evel Knievel jump. So they had a big, huge landing built for him, which is just a massive pile of dirt, which that's what we're going to use for the track. So the good news is the track's going to be bigger. It can be bigger than the Fear Farm track. So the area is a little bit too big, so I'm going to cut it down a tiny bit. So that part's good. We're going to bring in all kinds of dirt. I'm able to dig down a little to make some contours like I like. Some places don't allow you to dig down into the existing ground, whether it's they got pipes under there or they have really bad dirt they don't want to get into, but this place is going to allow me to dig around. So I don't exactly know how the track's going to be, which is not unusual because I never do. I just get out there and start making what I see fit with the amount of dirt and what the terrain looks like. So the one thing we are going to do different is we normally at Fear Farm, we have those other tracks that are already there. There's a Fiskio track and there's a U4 track, and I usually come in and redo the whole thing and offer some other types of racing. But, I've offered the Fiskio and U4 for this new venue, but I don't think where we're at is a big U4 following. So there's no signups for U4.
Okay.
And then the Fiskio community is, still a growing community. Mm-hmm. And there's just not very many, there's less than 30 entries and we're only a couple weeks out. So I've just recently canceled the Fiskio part of the race, which I know the Fiskio guys were excited about coming out, but with this new facility, they want me to pay to bring the dirt in, and you have to pay an announcer and pay for hotels for the announcer and pay for T-shirts and pay for trophies and pay for a driver stand, and all that stuff adds up. And when the amount of entries are looking to be a fairly low, you don't want to lose money on trying to do a good thing. You don't want it to be
unfortunate.
Unfortunate. So what I'm going to do is there is an area right next to the 8-scale track. I'm going to build a practice track. It's going to be similar to the 8-scale track. That way, if you're there for 5 days and you're in between races and there's a long time, there'll be a practice track. You can go test motors. You can practice your car. You can enjoy racing your buddy next to you. And I'm going to offer, probably $8 a day, a wristband that you can put on there and you can go over and practice. There'll be water and maybe a little lap attack. You can, the fastest guy in their class at the end of each day on the practice track might win prizes or something like that. So it'll break up the day, add some extra racing for you just on a practice track. And that's going to be the new addition.
Yeah, that's cool because you've never had that before. And it beats going out there running your car up and down, trying to tune and trying to break in engines. And I'm sure people will that's going to be flooded because people's going to be like,
I hope so. Yeah.
I need to find what tire works and this. It's the
Right.
same dirt. I can just see like pure science mode going on out there. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. So you have to build a driver stand. Are you going to build one from scratch? Are you going to bring like scaffolding in? What's the plan for that?
Yeah, that was kind of a part of the reason I had to cancel the fifth scale was initially at the fairgrounds, they got guys that there's concerts out there and they have concert staging. And the guy that sells you the property, you know, he's like, yeah, we got concert staging. You could use that. The guy that owns it keeps it here on storage. And, you know, it's easy to reconfigure and we can do whatever you need. And I said, okay, cool. But when it comes down to really sitting with the guy and talking to him, you know, that he said, well, it's going to be $8,000 for the one track.
Wow.
And it's not even going to be exactly what I need. So I'm like, man, for that amount of money, I might as well invest in my own container and just build a cool driver stand, 40 foot long with a walkway on it. And so I can store it out there year after year because he's excited about trying to make this the new home, and I can store this container. So I bought a container that's getting delivered on Wednesday. I got my welder guys that are in my family that used to weld up the stuff for the old Hemet track, the old over and under and the metal bridges. He's coming to weld up everything that I need. And we're going to have a new driver stand, brand new, built just for this event. And hopefully I can put it on a trailer and take it places if I need to. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, man, that works out a lot better than actually scaffolding or building one on your own. That's perfect. Like you'll have a permanent driver stand. And if it doesn't work, I mean, you can always sell it and you have a place to store it. So win-win.
So it's a win-win, I think, you know, I'm excited about that.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. All right. I know we won't know what the layout is. I just hope I don't know, maybe you have something like, I mean, like you had your 6-pack or the 3-pack that you had this year with the bridge, last year with the bridge. I don't know, maybe we'll see something different this year. It's always exciting with your tracks. So, how about drivers? I know there's about 4 or 5 Europeans coming. You got about probably more coming, but you have Boots coming, Badier, Ronafalk, Barufalo. Who else is coming? I'm hoping everybody's saying Ongaro is coming, and I really hope he is coming because this will be his first time in America. And I
talked to him. I talked to him personally. He's excited. He's already paid. He's coming. He's in for sure. So the new world champ's on his way, and I'm excited about that too. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Hey, I'm gonna be like play devil's advocate there, and I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry, America, but that's like 4 or 5 spots that Americans aren't gonna get in that race. I'm sorry, I gotta say it because the Euro guys are so fast right now. But
I agree.
It's gonna be, dude. I can't wait to see him drive in person. Honestly,
me too. I saw him drive at the World Championships and was, you know, he's a young guy, and I don't race in Europe very often because, you know, I'm not a racer as much anymore. But to me, he was a little bit of an unknown name, and I was just so surprised at how well he did. And I think a lot of people were impressed. So it's cool to see him this couple years later win the World Championship. So yeah, we're excited for sure.
Yeah. The other young driver I want to see come is Ricardo Bertone, who drives Kyosho from Italy.
Yeah, he's coming. Yep.
I think if anybody can like really take out Ongaro, it's gonna be him because that kid's fast. I'm not saying that nobody else can. I'm not saying that. This is the DNC. Anything can happen. It's gonna get rough. It's gonna it's gonna be big jumps and stuff like that. I'm just excited. Like, you know, I'm really excited to come and watch this. I'm gonna hopefully the weather will be good. I mean, people were saying it'll be nice during the day, but it gets kind of cool during the night. But that's all right. It's, you know, we can deal with that.
Yeah, Arizona's similar. You know, it's kind of Southern California deserty weather, so I think it gets breezy out there in the evening. I was told at the fairgrounds, but we'll see how it goes.
Hey man, we're in California. We're gonna have tacos. We're gonna have beer. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of good camping spot. I mean, motorhome spots. Logistically, it's a similar layout to the Fear Farm, except for on the side of the track of Fear Farm, there was the freeway right there. So the pit areas were kind of pinched in, and whereas this facility, it's open with big covered pits if we need it. I can put, you know, it's got a lot more area, nice restrooms, you know, that are.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're gonna have good food. I think they're gonna be serving beer. It's gonna be.
This is a very important question for me. Now we can drink beer freely there, right? It's not gonna.
Well, I'm gonna say no.
Okay, so we gotta keep it covered.
There's two. Yes, there's a guy that sells. So they have their own vending source there. It is licensed to sell whatever they sell.
Okay.
We're not supposed to have our own.
Okay.
You're not supposed to bring your own just because somebody's serving it and they just don't want you getting drunk and doing anything weird. So there's a guy that kind of monitors that.
Okay.
Given that, I would imagine that when you're inside your own pit area or inside your own motorhome, they don't police it too well. So
no, I mean, I'm not going to be walking around with beer, but at least they sell beer there, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So if there's a guy that does it, and we're going to go through that guy, and I think it shouldn't be a problem.
Awesome.
But on the note of the drivers, on that topic, it's I've been posting things just saying, guys are confirmed, and partially I like the European guys that are coming because I feel like it's a long trip, and some of those guys haven't been before, and the American guys, I live here and I've been around the U.S. drivers for so long, and I like those guys, and I feel like we have the fastest of the fastest, and it's neat to think that Europe has the fastest of the fastest. And so I want to make sure that the European guys are welcomed. It just adds such a higher level of competition when all those fast guys come. It really challenges the U.S. drivers. I have my favorite drivers. I like Tebo, I like Mayfield, I like Drake. I've been around those guys my whole 20-year career, and they've been great friends. And so, I always root for them. But at the same time, I want to see those guys have huge competition. And I feel like with the fast European guys coming, oh man, I just think it adds to the level of excitement. And when you win and you beat all those dudes, oh man, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I like to see, because I always say RC is so it's worldwide. It's worldwide. There's fast guys everywhere, and the more people that come and race together, the better it is. So I'm super happy to see these guys come. I get to see Boots drive in his punched fashion, and then I get to see Ungaro and his magic fingers and all these guys. I'm ready, dude. I actually, the funny thing is, I fly out next Friday. My DNC journey starts next Friday. So I fly from here in the DR to North Carolina, and I meet my buddy Mike Hill, and then we start Monday our trek we're going to drive the janky ass JQ van from
Nice.
North Carolina to California. So
that's odd.
How about entries? How's that looking for just like the regular guys? Is it looking pretty good? Or?
Yeah, it's more than it normally is.
Okay.
So I think, if there's any in the RC world, we're notorious for signing up late and signing up the day of, and I allow that because sometimes if we have a limit, I'm 200 below my limit, and then the day of you were 500 over. So it's guys are notorious for signing up. But we have a bunch of entries, and I think it might even be the biggest one yet. I talked to the guy at the fairground saying, hey, if the day of the race we get 500 entries, you can't make too much noise too late because even though it's a fairgrounds, there are still houses around. And I said, what if we go to midnight? Can we just turn the volume down and make sure our PA is not too loud? And he said, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. So
awesome.
I'm anticipating a lot of entries, and so far, I think there's more than we normally have at this time. And there's a lot of, what's exciting is there's a lot of people that say, this is my first time. I've never been. And I've been to some tracks recently, and I hear the racers talking about it, and they don't know that that I'm the guy that puts it on. So it's fun to hear them sit there going, oh man, for DNC, I wonder what they're going to do for this, and I wonder how it's going to be. And I'm standing right there. I don't ever interject anything. It's fun to listen to them go, man, I'm excited, and I've never been. I wonder what tires we're going to use, and it's neat to see the excitement and the new faces that are coming. Yeah,
I think being that it's a new venue, all right, you may lose some guys. Like, okay, Arizona was a little bit more central for guys like from New Mexico, Texas. You may lose those guys, but I think where you gain is it's going to be a new track and a new surface for everybody. Nobody's going to have an upper hand here. So
not even me.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it's going to go down. Yeah.
So that's like, it's so neutral. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's like Switzerland. It's neutral.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
And I like that, on my end, I have a good team. It's not just me. I organize stuff, but I'm the guy that tries to organize things, but I got Jimmy Babcock, who's just, a brilliant race announcer that makes things, go flawless. And he's been around so long, he knows how to make sure you don't run into problems ahead of time, and he's super prepared. And then my buddy Aaron, who's he's an expert at a million things, so he can do almost anything, which is great. And then Jimmy's crew, the two brothers,
Crazy Leg and the other guy.
they're coming out to help out. And then Kenny Brosh, you know, even though it's
Yes.
far away, he's going to come out and be for the weekend, help announce. And so we got a good crew. And even though it's a new venue, you know, we know our routine. And as long as we set up the things we know to set up and do it the way we know how to do it, I think we're going to be in good shape.
It's going to be awesome, man. I saw when I was there last year, you, Aaron, everybody had a smile on their face. You know, even when the shit was hitting the fan, you was just still like, hey, we got to go. And I appreciate that, man, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. And it's a lot of work. It's a damn lot of work. So, you know, I'm excited. I am definitely excited.
Yeah, I don't sleep very good at night because I'm so excited. I have a little notepad. I wake up and write things down. And, you know, I'm trying to foresee, you know, I don't know. It's just a new spot. So you're excited about all the possibilities of what's going to
I bet. All right. Well, this was only supposed to be short. I just wanted to talk about that. But I do have a one more question before we get. All right. So I was shocked myself the other day when I clicked on Facebook because everybody knows I work for Joseph and I work for JQ Racing. And I didn't even know this was happening. Yeah. And that's probably going to explain why the budget has gone. But how did you get that cheap bastard to sponsor the race?
Well, you know, let's see. I definitely am. I respect people's space, and I respect their decisions, and I respect their life. I don't get into it. I don't get into it on. You know, if somebody's encroaching on me with something really crazy, then I have my own boundaries and I'll say my piece. But aside from JQ, you know, wanting to put stickers and do whatever, I get his whole promotion. I get all that. And so even though we have our differences at the race, you know, I still talk to him as a friend and I explain my point as a friend. And my goal isn't to burn bridges or prove points or teach anybody any lessons. I'm not a teacher. I'm a race promoter. So JQ respectfully says, you know, he sent me some emails saying, you know, I probably handled that wrong. And, you know, I would do it different next time. And he's been nice about it. And then he nicely sent me an email saying, hey, am I allowed to come to the Nitro Challenge? And my response was, if you're coming to support my efforts and support the RC community and my race, you know, in a positive way, absolutely you can come. And he said, sounds great. And then he said, hey, I'd like to sponsor your event. And I said, well, it's even better. And he said, I want to put my JQ takeover signs around and I want to do it, but I want to do it the right way, he said. And I said, I'm all for that, you know. That's awesome, Joe. And so I sent him all the information. He said, I'd like to be a gold sponsor. He paid his money. He sent me his logos, and, you know, it's business as usual. And I feel like, you know, not burning bridges and giving people not necessarily second chances, but just allowing people to make mistakes and come back and say, hey, I'd like to do it right. You know, that's what I'm all about. So I'm excited about it, and I think it's cool.
Yeah, he's got his hashtag JQ takeover. You know, obviously I was involved with that last year, and you know, we talked many times, and you know, I was frustrated myself. So then I saw this, and I was like, well, shit, there goes the budget. Like, we got to drive across America, so that means, like, I don't know, like janky hotels, like the van driving on with the light on till we find the cheapest gas. Oh, yeah. He just blew all the budget on sponsoring you, but I'm glad he did it. And
me too.
You know, I'm glad it's coming back, and it's gonna be positive. And trust me, there's not gonna be no shenanigans from our part. I can guarantee you that, because if it is, it's good. He's gonna have to answer to me, and he doesn't want to answer to me.
I catch a little flack from the other manufacturers. You know, like they show concerns like, what would you do that for? You know, I feel like what I'm trying to say is, you know, everybody, sometimes you look back and think you handled things wrong, and maybe you do it different. Like I said, I'm not a guy to try to teach lessons or make some crazy point. I just, you know, I take it moment by moment. And if a guy comes back and says, hey, I did that wrong, can I do a redo on that? I'd like to do this a proper way. And I say, yeah, as long as you're here to support what I'm doing, absolutely. So, you know, I like that. I keep moving forward and try to keep building relationships. And, you know, just like in any relationship, sometimes you go a little sideways, and I don't feel like that's a reason to cut things off or try to ban somebody or punish them. As long as they're willing to try to do it right and be a positive part of our community, I'm down.
I appreciate that, man. I greatly do.
You
know, we work very hard, and well, you know, I have to deal with Joseph on a daily basis. It's not easy. So But for you to get him to open up the purse strings, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I mean, I didn't. To answer your question, I didn't get him to do it. He said, "I'd like to sponsor your race. You know, how much is it? Can you send me the info?" I sent him the info. It's the same info I send to every manufacturer, and he gets back to me and says, "Sounds good. You know, what size banners can I have? How many can I have? Where can I have them?" And you know, we have a nice back and forth, professional about all that stuff. And he says, "Sounds great. Here's my info. Here's my payment," and that was it. I didn't have to talk him into anything.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to deal with his crap. So that's all that comes down to. But we're really excited about coming. We're gonna set up some awesome pits like we did last year, and we're gonna have fun. And that's what it's all about, having fun. So, you know, if people if people don't like that, that's not my problem. So,
yeah.
Before we go, man, if you want to say anything, and if you want to tell people like why this DNC is going to be different, just go ahead, man. The mic's yours.
Cool. Well, first, thanks for tuning into this podcast, and thanks, Keenan, for having me on so I can share information about the race, and it's cool. I appreciate it. And for me, it's just 20 years of putting on RC car races, and not really having a long-term plan, just each year trying to do what people ask me to do and try to make it better each year. So in the 20 years, we've really built a lot of great relationships, not only with the racers, but with sponsors. And we're going to have a little banquet at the banquet hall there, and everybody's invited. And I hope we can have a little slideshow that covers some of the 20 years and just kind of showcase some of the good relationships we've had and the fun times in the Nitro Challenge. And I feel like bringing it back home, to Southern California, 20 minutes from where it started for the 20th anniversary is kind of a special thing. And I'm just hoping that everybody can come out, and maybe celebrate their life and their opportunity to be able to have the luxury of racing RC cars with your friends in the Southern California, climate. And hopefully we can put on a good race that's has quality competition and a fun atmosphere and a fair racing program, and have some smiles and hopefully make some new friends and say hi again to all of our old friends that are coming from near and far. And that's basically what we're all about. And we hope that if you have any questions or info, you can look up our website, thedirt.us, or email me, and we can make sure you're taken care of. And we look forward to seeing you at the track.
Sweet, man. I look forward to coming there again and seeing the show that you put on. I'm going to bring you a small little gifter from the Dominican Republic that you can take away with you as well. And if you was thinking about coming to the DNC, stop thinking and just do it, because I think this is going to be awesome. And you're going to get to see some of the best drivers in the world race on a neutral track that nobody has had any practice on. So it's going to be great.
Awesome.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you're going to be busy, and I will see you in a few weeks. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it.
Lefty, thank you. No Name RC Podcast. Thanks for having me on, man. I'll see you soon.
All right, man. Goodbye.
All right, bye.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on.
Whoa. Things are about to get serious.
It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
Hey, Joseph. So I just finished talking to Joey about DNC 2019 and how he got you to, open up your wallet and your purse strings and actually spend some money, which is pretty amazing because you don't like to spend money.
I mean, he didn't really have to do anything.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said you hit him up and you told. I thought you was joking. I saw you talking about it on Facebook. I was like, this idiot is not going to blow the budget. It's not going to blow the budget on sponsoring DNC.
Yeah, well, I did.
I
just thought it was funny.
So that means that Mike Hill and I are probably going to be stopping off at some truck stops or something like that, trying to get gas some way, somehow.
Yeah, I basically used up your travel budget for the race.
Are you going to do what you did to me the first time I ever drove across America? And that's like, here's $150, make it to Texas. From California.
Did I do that?
True story, people. True story.
Oh, yeah. I gave you cash. Yeah,
I dropped him off.
That's all the cash I had.
Yeah, I dropped him off in the airport. And he goes, I have $150. Make it to Texas. I was like, holy shit.
Right, but it worked, right? You made it.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. Luckily I had a few shingles in my pocket to make it work. It was sketchy driving across America with no money, but I done it, and we got it done, and we're gonna do it again. And if we don't make it, whatever hardships we have, I'll just take out on you. Swift kick to the nuts. That's all. At some point at DNC, you're gonna end up in a trash can. I know that for a fact. We're probably gonna fight. I'm pretty sure we're gonna. Well, it's not really much of a fight with you because you couldn't fight your way out of a wet paper bag. It's just gonna be like me. It's probably just gonna be.
But you're one-armed.
That's right, and I hit you with my one arm. And what happened? You fell into the trash can at DNC last year.
Oh, this is true.
Mm-hmm. It was a filled and up trash can. Too bad it wasn't a big metal one where you would have got stuck inside of it. But enough about that. And the road trip's gonna be epic, no matter how janky it's gonna be, and with little bit of money because you just blew the whole budget on sponsoring. But it's good that you did sponsor DNC, and Joey's really excited. I like that idea of having the practice track, so people can practice. That's gonna be different than any other race I've been to. So should be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right, so now we get to our JQ Racing Rant segment for the week. And no, Joseph, you can't rant yet. Even though this is your sponsored bit, I'm not letting you talk. Not letting you have control of this. So.
Okay, well, it is your podcast, so.
Oh, it's mine. I like when you say things like that. You heard it today, people. It's my podcast. So anyway, Reedy was this weekend. I know you geeked out over that. You was watching all the videos and whatnot. I didn't watch as much as I wanted to, but I did catch one incident, which I don't know how to feel about it. I do feel that it was fair, but other people don't, especially after you heard the big outcry about it. But I don't know who, it involved Ty, and I don't know who the other driver was, but they went to take that jump, I think on the last lap of the race, one of the four-wheel drive races. They both collided in the air. Ty, like when he landed upside down, he landed near the marshal, and the other guy kind of flew towards the back straight where the spectators were. So the turn marshal ran for Ty's car, and the car landed right in front of a spectator. So the spectator picked it up, and by the time the spectator picked it up, Ty looked like he was on his way anyway. He hadn't passed him, and those guys continued on racing. And then you heard a big scream in the back. I don't know who that was. Maybe it was Gord. I don't know, or somebody saying that wasn't fair. But I think I don't know how to feel about this, but I think it's fair because they were battling. They collided. They both didn't want to give in the air. Like they both went for the same jump. They hit each other, and one just landed closer to one marshal, and the other landed closer to a spectator. Yes, the spectator was not the official marshal, but on that particular track where the back straight is, like there are like a bunch of spectators at chest level because the track's like almost chest level, I guess, right there. And he flipped his car over. So I don't know. Was it fair or was it not fair? I think it was fair because it was a racing incident. Nobody took each other out. It just happened that guy landed further away next to a spectator, and Ty landed closer to a turn marshal. Did you see the incident that I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw it. I don't think it matters who marshals the car. I don't think there's a rule that states that a spectator can't marshal a car. I think, let's say someone crashes on the straight and is upside down halfway down the straight. Should the spectator, who could easily marshal it, should they just watch people crash into the car on its roof, or should they do something about it? So I don't know. I think if you're in a position to marshal a car, then you marshal a car.
Yeah, I think actually Gord might have went up and complained. I don't know. This is just speculating. But what I heard is that there was a complaint about it. But I remember a similar incident happening at one of the mains at DNC last year too, where a car flipped on the straight, and you know how a DNC was on the hay bales. People were sitting there watching the race on the back straight, and this guy jumped down because it was right in the middle of the track. He jumped down, flipped it, and when he flipped it, he was running back. His phone fell out, and then as his phone, just imagine his phone was falling, and as soon as it got to car level, another car was coming and just demolished his phone completely, like hit his car at, I don't know, 40 miles an hour. But imagine if that would have been another car. Both of those guys would have been out of the race. So I don't know what the rule is on that, but what's better, having two cars broken or what? I think if a spectator can do it, why not?
Yeah, I think the thing is there. So if a spectator runs onto the track and let's say takes out the leader or something like that, just due to, carelessness, yeah, of course, that's an issue. But in this case, no one really went onto the track. The guy just reached over and flipped the car over. I think that's fine. I wouldn't like to allow spectators to run onto the track, but I would definitely allow, in the OCRC situation, for example, someone just reaching into the track area and turning a car over.
I mean, I can agree from that point too. I know, they don't like a lot of races where they have the pit lane on the front straight at bigger races. They don't allow for pit guys to run out and get cars, which I understand that, but that was a whole different issue. Like it was right in front of him. Like, what does he do? It was a whole gaggle of cars would probably come in. It would have been a flustercock for sure, So, I don't know. I get the protest as well, but I mean, they were I don't know what position they were in. I think they were out of it by that time. So, they already had. That was the race that they had a lot of hackage going on too.
Yeah, there were a couple of crazy races there.
So that's my rant. I don't know how you guys feel about it in the audience. I watched it. I didn't feel no way about it, but I guess it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I think this one, no big deal. Everything's okay. But I wouldn't allow people just to, run out on the track. At DNC, it adds to the atmosphere that everyone's lining the track on the hay bales. But yeah, it's not a good situation when spectators kind of randomly run onto the track. I don't think that's good.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, what if they get hit? I mean, I know that's one of the biggest fears of somebody as a turn marshal getting hit. But if you're going out to the turn marshal, it's your, it's part of the risk involved. But this car flipped right in front of this guy. He was there. He just reached out, flipped it over, and they went on his merry way. I don't see no issue with that whatsoever. But then again, I do get maybe why there was a protest, if there was one, because maybe he advanced his position. But they were battling for the position. They hit each other. I don't get it.
Yeah, just win on the track.
Just win on the track. Well, that brings a conclusion to the JQ rant. Nothing too serious to rant about this week. And I guess it brings a conclusion to the podcast, So I want to say thank you to Joseph for coming on, as usual. I would like to say thank you to Jeff, as well as Tebo. And once again, congratulations on your first Reedy win. I know you're super happy about that, and you're going into DNC on a high, I would say. Yeah, man, you might. Hey, it's going to be interesting, the DNC for sure. And thanks to Joey for coming on. Where DNC 19th, the 20th running of the DNC is coming up. I'm looking forward to being there. Joseph, are you excited to go to DNC?
Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah, that's good. So
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So we get there the weekend before. We're gonna go do some practice. Well, you guys are gonna do some practice. I actually might get to turn some laps for once. And we're gonna set up some awesome JQ pits and have a good time.
Yeah, that we are. And by the way, you're forgetting something.
What did I forget?
We can't end this yet. We still have 10 questions.
Oh, right. Well, let's do them right now.
Okay. And this time, you're asking me, right?
Yes, I'm asking you this time.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, guys, we're going to go into, because I didn't get to do this with Joey or Tebo, I'm going to ask Joseph the 10 questions. And then we'll go from there.
Now we go into the Fast Trace 10 questions in 10 seconds segment. Fast Trace is a world champion option parts brand made in Italy. Fast Trace drivers include Davide Ongaro and Ricardo Bertone, and they run the innovative performance-enhancing parts that Fast Trace makes for most 1/8 buggies, including the world-famous honeycomb shock bladders and caps. Go to fasttraceshop.com and type in Lefty 2019 to get 10% off your purchase now.
being as I didn't ask Joey or Tebo these questions, I thought I'd ask you. So I have 10 questions for you. You did it. We did it with me the other day. Now I'm going to do it with you. So are you ready to answer these questions?
Sure.
All right. So let's go. Number 1. Would you eat balut or balut again?
No way.
Okay, for those who don't know what balut is, it's like a almost born baby chick in an egg that he ate in the Philippines. Number 2. If you could do it all over again, would you just be a pro driver and nothing else?
That's a really good question.
Oh, shit.
I want to say yes. I want to say yes, but I want to say no also at the same time.
Would you like to just
So I don't
briefly
know.
explain? You have to answer it.
No, I wouldn't be just a pro driver, but I would do things differently.
Okay. Number 3. How many countries have you traveled to?
42.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Number 4. Favorite track ever raced on?
Man, I'm drawing a blank.
You've raced on so many you can't remember?
Yeah. I've raced on it. I mean, I know a few that are my favorites. Fear Farm.
Okay.
Fear Farm. In Indonesia, the Cinetic track. That was a lot of fun.
Just one.
I can't
Just
think
one.
I can't think of one. Let me think of big races. That's an easier way, maybe. You know what? That Austria Euros track was really nice.
I'd have to go look at that. I
From
can't remember
2008.
that. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it on.
Verbling, I think it was.
Was that the one that kind of went away from you as well?
Yeah.
And like,
because it had a bit of everything.
Okay.
High speed, low speed, uphill, downhill. Like, that was actually a really good track.
All right. Number 5. Have you ever played the violin to earn money?
Yes. You really just like to put me on the spot, don't you?
Oh, I want you to tell the story.
Hey, it's just quick answers, right?
Yeah, of course, you never want to... In case you guys didn't know, Joseph knows how to play the violin very good.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had to earn some money, to fund my ice hockey because it was expensive.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. Well, let's say my parents had this genius idea. When my mum went shopping on the weekend, she just put me on the market square and play some tunes and earn some money. I actually earned quite a bit of money doing it.
That must have been so fun. I want to see you. Can you still play the violin?
I mean, I haven't played in 15 years or something, so...
All right.
I can probably play, but badly at this point.
Okay. Number 6. This one I like. This is actually a multiple choice question. So you have A, B, C, or D. If Lefty saw you hanging off a cliff by one hand, would he A, help pull you up, B, stump on your fingers and watch you fall to your death, C, don't clap, C, watch you beg for help, then watch you fall, D, sit there and be like JQ and tell you are not trying hard enough to pull yourself up?
Definitely D.
Yeah, that's what you would do. I would definitely probably be A. All right. Number 7. Life in the Philippines is?
Easy.
Okay. Number 8. If you could sign one driver right now, who would you sign?
Ryan Mayfield.
Interesting. Number 9. Do you wake up mornings thinking, how much of an asshole can I be today?
Never have done that.
No, because it's normal for you to just be an asshole. And number 10.
Comes naturally.
Yeah, of course, we know that. Number 10. Lefty is great because?
He says so.
That's a good one. Well, thank you, Joseph, for answering the Fast Race Shop 10 questions, 10 seconds segment. So now we're actually done with the podcast after I've done the 10 questions with Joseph. Thank you all for listening. Joseph, you want to say anything before we go?
No, I used up all my words, definitely.
So you have no words left? So that means like no Facebook arguing this week?
And no, I have to recharge my words so that I can then use them next week.
You know, if you use them all on Facebook, you know, kind of, you know, if you stop using a lot of Facebook words and started like recharging them through the week, it'd be a lot better. But thanks for coming on. It was a great chat with everybody. Thank you all for listening. And I'm going to say this. Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. And Lefty is out. Talk to you guys later.
Fake news. Fake news.
You always got to spoil it. Lefty's out, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. Please tune in next time for more fresh RC content. And if you can, please also support us on patreon.com/thequagrain. We will greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, Nitro is the glory.